Thank you, Eloi, for putting this together. Let's see how this experiment goes. It's my first time also pitching in VR. My name is Joao Inada. I'm a Brazilian VR filmmaker and director. My interest in VR really is to create documentary experiences and trying to find different ways, to talk about real life issues. I'm a first and foremost a journalist, and I got into this specifically to be able to tell stories from a different perspective. My first project was Reframe Iran, and it was done in 2014. We did a 360 documentary about Iranian artists inside their studio, and our idea was to question their identity in the art market, in the art world. And it was quite cool. We did not know what we were doing. We were using giant cameras at the time, but it was still beta cameras. So we went through a lot of, how can I say this, troubleshooting. But in a course of a year, the cameras actually got pretty cool and actually started working really well. And but still, they were not the giant one cameras that we have access today. So we could only shoot for 20 minutes and then it would overheat. But these are problems that we don't have right now. Things have actually gotten in that sense to such a great level that, you can use, we were using 16 cameras, now Giant has a rig with 24 cameras. It's actually quite amazing. But I'm here actually to talk about my newest project. It's called Under the Skin, or in Portuguese, Na Pele. It's an immersive 360 documentary about the lives of people from Rio de Janeiro favelas. So our idea is that we bring, the average user to the reality of Rio de Janeiro. So Rio de Janeiro is a divided city. The rich beachside neighborhoods cast a shadow on the poor, neglected areas of town known as favelas, ghettos or slums, as they would say. This shadow extends to its residents. And, what happens in the shadows? So let me just remove myself from the front over here. So the videos you just saw, the first one was of an armored helicopter flying over a predominantly residential area in Favela da Maré in Rio de Janeiro, shooting down with absolutely no regards to who were living there. The second video was of somebody who got shot due to that operation. These videos are from June. So they're very recent. These are operations that happen on a weekly basis. And they completely disrespect in every possible way the lives of working families of Rio de Janeiro favelas. So you can get a context of what I'm saying. 1/3 of Rio de Janeiro's population lives in these areas. What you see right now here is the photo of Marcos Vinicius, this Victor. He was only, so let me just, little hearts.
Yeah.
So Marcos Vinicius is one of those victims. Wait a minute, how do I go?
I'm back.
I switch. Okay, I'm not being anymore the slides. So this is a picture of Marcos Vinicius' shirt. He was on his way to school when this happened, and he was shot, you know, forward. These operations happen, like I said, on a weekly basis. This film aims to... So, okay, let me see if this slide works. There we go. So wait a minute. So let me go back to the project. I don't know where I was at. Okay. So Under the Skin is a social justice VR documentary about the lives of three characters, or three people, real people, who, despite the hostile environment they live in, face these challenges head on with courage, sense of community, and compassion. It's the only way to thrive and to survive under such circumstances. In this social VR documentary, you will meet Ana, a 63-year-old domestic cleaner who works in high-end buildings of Rio de Janeiro. She never had any proper education, and never had, but was able to, through low wages, to put all her children to school. She herself never went to school, only barely knows how to read.
Yes, I'm here.
Second character that you will meet in this interactive experience is Fabio. Fabio is a motorcycle delivery man in Complexo do Alemão. Anyways, what I was saying, this is supposed to be an interactive VR documentary. So the idea is that you meet these characters inside this interactive shack, and through every interaction, you would trigger 360-degree stories, about their lives. So, like I said, the first character would be a domestic cleaner, second character Fabio, and third character a medical student who attends a predominantly white college. So in order to do this, not only we partner, we're trying to do it in an inclusive and representative way. So we partnered with Tamira Tamara from Complexo do Alemão, huge favela. She is a journalist, a photographer, social media expert, and she leads basically a only woman collective group called Gato Media, and produces low-tech and now 360-degree videos about the lives in the favelas. And also Raul Santiago, who is a human rights activist, journalist, and public security expert. He uses social media inside the favelas to denounce police brutality and these police operations that usually end in deaths. We're also partnered with producers. One of them is Carlos Diegues, which is one of the founders of Brazil's cinema movement from the 60s called Cinema Novo. He's done over 20 films, and we were able to convince him that, it was time to believe in this new VR era. And Diogo Dal, also a film producer from Rio de Janeiro. His last film, Cinema Novo, was somebody has a phone playing.
No,
it's mine.
No, it's me. It's Nick is trying to reach me.
Yeah.
Continue.
All right, Diogo is his film won the L'Oeil d'Or in Cannes, 2016. So our idea is to kind of bring the expertise of the traditional film industry, especially in production, in order to execute this in the best manner possible. So these are a few of our production partners. Luz Mágica is Carlos Jagi's production company, founded in 1983. Coqueirão Pictures is Diogo Dao's production company. This Sete Léguas film is my production company. And Studio Co is they are experts in technology. So basically they have a lot of with 360-degree projects and virtual reality environments. They've done things in photogrammetry. They have a lot of experience with 3D scanning, and have been able to manage to navigate through this industry using avant-garde tools, immersive tools. We're also partnered with Jaunt. We're actually right now at Jaunt China offices in Shanghai. With them partnered, we're going to use they've offered us the Jaunt One camera, where we're going to film these documentaries that will be triggered inside this environment. They're also our distributors here in China. As you might know, Tony, it's location-based arcades, location-based content is something that people are betting a lot here in China, and this is what we expect from this partnership, is to be able to distribute it and to take it to over 200 arcades right now, and a series of others as the years go by. One of other partners that we had over here was in this project, and especially in the development, was Contrast. Contrast is Al Jazeera's 360-degree VR content producers. The idea was to partner with them for a project that they already had called My People, Our Stories, where we initialized 10 young favela communicators in the art of 360-degree videos. So we published with them already 4 videos in their web channels. We were able to manage around 200,000 views when you put together all videos, actually at this point around 300,000. And the idea was to train these favela communicators so they can understand a little bit about immersive media, 360-degree films, because we want them to be the designers of this story. We want them to be the authors. The idea is that this story is built from inside out rather than outside in. We want to use their experience in the favelas to be able to actually depict these realities in the most, how do you say, verosimil, or how do you say, most accurate manner. We also understood from the get-go that we needed to find venues where this project could be exhibited. And one of our partners at this point is Museu da Manhã, which is Museum of Tomorrow in Rio de Janeiro. It's a technology-driven museum, and that is where we're going to have our first premiere in Brazil after rounds of festivals that we have been applying. We were also part in this year's Biennale de Venezia and La Mostra de Cinema. So we were accepted for the gap financing market, where 15 projects from all around the world, VR projects or immersive media projects, were accepted, and we were able to pitch. And that's where we found one of our, financiers, Ford Foundation, which have given us around $120,000 at this point to produce this film. We're also open conversations with Open Society, which is George Soros' foundation, also to find financing. We're still in negotiation process with them. And this is basically where we are at right now. Our idea is to begin the production film in February, actually after Carnival, of this year. We will do in February. Our idea is ready to be able to apply for Venice, which happens in September of next. So this is, if you want to contact Diogo, our main producer, here's his email. My email is quite easy, is my name, Joao Inada @gmail.com. And yes, let's open.
Anyway, I wanted to ask if is there already a preview of this movie, of this experience. There is a video about it that can be seen, a trailer.
Yes, so we already have at this point 4 videos that were done, like I said, in partnership with Al Jazeera. These videos can be found. Let me go back to that. Let me go back to the. In a minute. So here. So you cannot read it. Maybe you can. Let me see. My People, Our Stories.
Yeah.
So there is a Brazil initiative. So there are 4 360 videos that we've done, created by favela communicators or a new favela 360 creators. They're not the video, the film, the experience that we are building, but they're going to be supporting content to the whole experience. But we don't have yet a preview of this experience itself. We are in a development phase and in trying to gather money, to produce the proper experience. So no, there is not a preview yet, but we have supporting content done or produced at this point.
Okay, got it. Just another question, because that part, the audio was terrible. Can you repeat the story about the old Brazilian girl and Fabio, because I couldn't hear it very well.
So do you want me to go back the slides?
Yeah, just when you talk about the experience about favelas, you're talking about...
Take it. So let me go. So let me try. It's not working. Oh shit! Yeah, there we go. So this part.
Yeah.
So this part. So yes. So these are some of the characters we're considering for this experience. They're all real. So they live in the favelas, and these are we're going to create micro documentaries using giant cameras. So this is Anna. She's 63 years old, and she's a domestic cleaner. Works at high-end buildings in the rich areas of town. On her way to work, takes around a 2-hour commute. So she spends around 4 hours in buses and trains daily to arrive to work, and works for a low wage, a very low wage in Brazil, which is miserable in our standards. She was able to raise her family despite the challenges, and she was able to put 3 of her children through school. She never actually had a proper education herself. She knows basically how to write and read. So, and this is Fabio. Fabio is the guy on the red motorcycle. He's 24 years old. Statistically, he is 3 times, or actually 4 times more likely to be killed than any other Brazilian because of where he lives and the color of his skin. Fabio is a motorcycle delivery man. What he does is he takes people up and down the hills of the favela and makes a living that way. And Ariana is a medical student attending a predominantly white college. She's the first in her family to actually go to university. And despite all of the challenges she faces of shootouts and lack of resources, she is able to face these challenges and actually eventually will become a doctor. So these are three possible characters. These stories are not actually defined at this point. We're still researching to see which are the best characters for this experience. But we do want them to kind of portray the heroism, the courage it is, and people who actually face these trials, these daily trials with police shootouts, and living on, extremely poor areas of Rio de Janeiro. A favela, as you might know, is a dangerous place, not because of the whole drug war, but because of political reasons. When you actually disrespect, when government disrespects, the lives of those around in order to fight war, in order to input the war on drugs, the true victims are not, the drug dealers or the drug users, are the families and the people who live amongst these folk. I would say the drug dealers are like 1% of the people in the favela. 99% of them are hardworking families, hardworking people.
Okay.
So this is me.
Thank you.
So if you got, Joao Inada, this is me. Yeah. I'm not sure my avatar looks exactly like myself at this point, but we tried a little bit, and these are some of our partners. They're our creative producers. So these are the guys that created a few of the guys that created the 360 videos that you can find in Al Jazeera webpage. So our idea was to initiate them in 360-degree worlds, 360-degree ideas. And once we begin production for this film, take it a step further. We're going to start talking about interactive environments. We're going to start talking about producing an interactive experience. But, we need to initiate them in one way. The partnership that we had with the Contrast and Al Jazeera actually gave them 360-degree cameras. So Samsung is one of the partners of this initiative. So we gave 10 Samsung cameras to 10 participants that made part of this workshop. Actually, one of the participants of this workshop actually died during the workshop, tragically, because he did not have, he went to a hospital in Rio de Janeiro, and the hospital lacked doctors. So basically, he died. Respiratory malfunction, not because of his viruses. So it's unlike us, that actually have zero access to all of these, all that we have, So part of this project is to kind of burst this tech bubble. How do we get people from outside of our worlds to start thinking in VR? In my opinion, we're going to solve some of the narrative issues, is by bringing people from different fields, from different economic backgrounds, from different social backgrounds, from different racial backgrounds, to start thinking this technology, So part of us, I don't know what you guys think when you're, thinking VR projects, is like, how do we get better at what we do? In my opinion, my humble opinion, is to start inviting people from outside, people from that weren't invited in the first place. For example, to this speech session, because they don't have a headset, because they don't, aren't capable of participating. Anyways, this is part of what we want to do as well, is to extend, this technology to other people, get other people into this to try and make it better. So anyway, the idea of favelas, what we have right now, of course, is a much wider problem. So that film portrays an era around the 90s, or it reaches the 90s. I can say that things are much worse at this point right now. So just to give reference, just in 2017, we had around 64,000 violent deaths in Brazil. I believe that is a little bit more than the war in Syria. So we're talking about extremely violent areas of town and of the world in reality. And just to add another interesting note, the protagonist of that film, of City of God, just came out on social media, so he's working right now as an Uber driver. So I mean, even being participating in a film with such international success, that you're still out of the favela, out of that life. If you're black, and chances are you're fucked forever. So I mean, just to add kind of